Hello there, my friends. I'm being ultra meta here today and postmodern because I was going to record my video over there and I've even got the tripod and the camera set up, but I was going to take a photograph to post on Twitter and I thought, well, actually, let's do a completely different background today, because what we're actually talking about today is covering the basics. I will admit that I still have a strong propensity to do what other people are doing, to take lots of different advice and try and spread myself too thin all over the place. And what I realise is, and this isn't a profound statement or anything, but it's so easy to get distracted from your own path, what it is that you're meant to be doing. And obviously, if you are on Twitter, if you're anywhere on YouTube or any news sites, where people are constantly broadcasting about the latest thing that we absolutely definitely must be involved in, well, you'll know that there isn't that much positivity around. And when you look at anything online, you've always got to factor in the fact that people want to grab your attention, okay? And so in the age of attention, truthfulness is not actually the primary motivator. Attention is. Sensationalism is getting your attention to this thing rather than that thing. So you're going to always be receiving information that has been ramped up 10, 20, 30, 40, 5 billion times, So always pay attention to how people are trying to manipulate you, how they're trying to draw you in, and also pay attention to what kind of material they're trying to thrust down your throat, to push in your direction. Because the vast majority of the time, it's likely to be incredibly toxic, and we want to avoid any scenario where our spirits are being polluted. It's very, very easy to get black-pilled and think that everything is absolutely hopeless. But even in the direst periods of history, we know that there were people who weren't subscribing to the paradigm. We know that there are people that lived to tell the tale. And this might sound grossly idealistic, but I honestly believe that if you're focusing on really positive things and you're motivated and working on a daily basis to improve yourself, that this acts like a natural force field against all of the, I don't want to say negativity, all these words have been so hijacked, but against the tide of gloom and despair. Don't get dragged in by it. Do remember what you're here to do. Each human being has his or her own unique purpose and drive. And we have our tastes, we have our inclinations, our proclivities, what we are naturally drawn to. And over the last few days, I have been focusing so intently on remembering who I am, what it is that I want to do, and being almost ferocious in my focus to ensure that I'm using my time as best as I possibly can. Now, do I do that perfectly? Well, no, of course not. I don't. There is no perfection. But it is possible to perfectly walk your own path. And I believe that patience is a really, really important part of doing this, of being able to, stand and look at the storm and not only, take deep breaths and be steady, but actually be really grateful. And I think gratitude is another key part in keeping to your path, because obviously I'm here in the northwest hemisphere, if there is one. I'm way up, the planet, and it is really, really dark. And so when I went out for my walk earlier on, it was just streetlights that were guiding my way, and I must confess, a fantastic array of Christmas decorations. And I'm here in a really beautiful village, and I will admit that it is particularly picturesque here. But to see people in their houses, and there's activity going on in their living rooms and their dining rooms, the bedrooms upstairs, and they've got the Christmas tree lights up and they've got the decorations out in their front gardens. It is a reminder that life does go on and people are indulging in the Christmas festivities. And I think this is a really good lesson to actually remind you that whatever is happening politically, we aren't actually really witnessing any of the really dramatic stuff that people are sharing. Obviously, in the Western world, we see that our towns and cities do look very different from how we remember them 10, 20, 30, or in my case, 40 years ago. They're different. They absolutely are. But what I am training myself to do is when I'm going a couple of times a week into Sheffield for the gym. When I'm walking around, I'm looking at people, and as much as I possibly can, trying to find the humanity and realizing that we are all people, we're all humans, and we all have our stories, we all have our dysfunction, our fuck-uppery, and it can be very, very demoralizing when things aren't how you remember them being, in the past. And there are times that, you hear people speaking foreign languages and, they look different, they behave differently. And it can be very, very jarring, and it can be very, very difficult to maintain your composure. But I think it's really, really important that we learn to maintain our sense of stability and rootedness, which is part of the reason why I like going into Sheffield, because it's so familiar to me, because I spent so much of my childhood there. And wherever I can sort of remember those good moments and bring my energy up and continue to walk around and, smile at people, and you'd be amazed at how many times you get a smile back when you catch somebody in the eye. If it's just a random stranger on the street. All these little things, they do help, because they're the basics of life. Connecting with other people, being healthy, exercising, and working on whatever project it is that you're working on. Being very, very declamatory here. But wherever you are, be there. Wherever you are, invest as much of your positive energy into what you're doing, And that will have 100% a multiplying effect, and it will spread that kind of energy into the world. It's about personal responsibility. It's about practicing what you preach. And sometimes it's very, very difficult. It is. But difficult things are often worthwhile things. And you deserve to live a great life, and you owe it to yourself to actually be the change that you want to see in the world. You can. It just requires that you decide.